if the company wanted to switch, it would have to be something big, right? That everyone can agree upon. And we know in our industry, everyone always agrees to go the same direction. So it'd be easy to sway us in any way.
Yeah.
You talk about it privately. We talk about it publicly. This is the Real Estate Insiders Unfiltered podcast. Welcome again to the Real Estate Insiders Unfiltered podcast, where Keith and I, actually more Keith, went on a rant. It was amazing.
I did. It was fun. We flipped roles. James asked the last question, and I got all shouty into a microphone.
I just sat back and let that shit go.
Yeah.
So tell us who the guest was and what we talked about today.
Yeah, we had Dan Troup, the CEO of the Broker Public Portal. He told us what the hell BPP is, which was great. The importance of search. It's really, truly the holy grail. Nationwide search, how knowing your limitations can be a strength, what it's like to wake up every day and go to battle with the big portals. We dug deep on AI, how it's affecting his business, and how it could influence real estate and search. And then we lingered for quite a while, which was fun, on the importance of the human being in the transaction. And oh yeah, I lost my mind when we started a debate over days on market. You're going to dig it. Put it in your ears, kids.
Dan, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
It has been, we've been talking about getting you on here for a while, and I think Keith and I kept rescheduling for various reasons.
That could be my
Sorry
fault.
about that.
Not a problem. Excited to be here.
Good. Well, tell your face that. My God, smile a little bit, buddy. There we go. You got it out.
There we go.
Viewers and listeners, Dan and I have known each other a while, so if you see a little bit of weird banter, that would be why. But look, we're excited to talk to you because you've been on a project for a while.
Oh,
yeah.
That has been really kind of quiet to some degree. You've been kind of working behind the scenes, not really out in front center in the industry on it, but now you're talking about this project, this Broker Public Portal. We're going to dive into that. But let's start with just giving viewers and listeners your background, because you've been in the space a long time in various roles. I'll let you tell the story, but just a couple minutes on your background, and I'm quite certain my partner in crime will have a question as a follow-up, because
they usually do.
Usually does. So we'll start with you.
Yeah, appreciate that. Started in 2004, 2005, fresh out of university. And come into this space and learn that they're using FTP to transfer data, and it blew my mind. So,
you mean at the incredible leading the way technological advancements that residential real estate is known for? Is that why it blew your mind? Yes,
that blew my mind a little bit. But in regards to real estate, I got into this space based upon a referral of all places. Right, I went to BNI. I was in telecom at the time, fresh out of college. And there was a RE/MAX broker in there who said, I think you'd be great in the technology space, and we need it. We need people helping us with this. And IDX sites were just starting to come out. And so I received the best referral of my life, which was, got to spend 20 years or so at RE/MAX from that single referral, that BNI slip.
Wow.
And turned it into a great career. And I've been working on consumer search and different versions of RE/MAX.com for a long time. And then back in 2023, got a call to join the Broker Public Portal, and said no. All right, I said, is that thing still alive? And so it took a little bit of convincing, but I think I landed here at a great spot and got an opportunity that continues some of the stuff I was doing at RE/MAX or fighting for industry wide to be able to do it here at a much larger scale. So excited about that.
That's awesome. Did you get to work with Contos and Bailey and all them over there at RE/MAX when you were there?
I did. I know all those guys over there for sure. I was
good
just did a podcast with Bailey
Mm-hmm.
and got to see him over at T3 that he's doing work over there. But yeah, went through many iterations of different leadership changes over there, and great organization, great company, and started out very much lower though. Tech support for brokers and agents. I think I get a free pass to heaven if you help agents with technology. I think that's written down somewhere.
It is.
But
Facts. Yeah, absolutely.
Spending one-on-one with agents or training them on products. So I've been from that level down to all the way up to now to, starting a new portal in our space.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I always joke with Adam when I talk to him, I'm like, you got out, dude. You got out. Like everybody else can't get out. They go somewhere else, but Adam managed to get out.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's
some
true.
of us,
Yeah.
I mean, we all got out for at least a minute, and then it's like the mob just pulls you back in. Yeah.
All right, we got a rapid. Oh, go.
I have a question.
Go.
I have a question. So, 20 years ish with the same firm, and then you decide to go do something different. How hard was that? I got to imagine 20 years. I haven't had anything in my life for 20 years. So like wives, companies, nothing there for 20 years.
He went there.
So,
yeah.
How, what was that like? Like, I'm more about just that decision-making process, right? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
It was tough. You know, I live in the Midwest in Michigan where, you know, both my grandfather and my father were part of the auto industry, where staying with the same company for 20, 35 years and retiring it and having a pension, you know, maybe that's in my DNA. Like this idea of jumping job to job really wasn't in my DNA. Everyone around us, right, worked for the same factory or, you know, went to work in the same place, and it just wasn't commonplace. So I think there's something to the loyalty aspect, probably what got me the job as well, looking for someone who's going to be loyal and not jump from job to job. And there was always opportunity at Remax for me to grow and do something different. So I'm appreciative of that, like to level up.
Right.
And so that opportunity was always there. And as long as that stayed, I had some great leadership in the beginning. A guy named Mike Metzner, who runs the Michigan area, Michigan region. He's a great guy, and very thankful for him for hiring me, a young 24-year-old, to come in and help him with technology, and still is a very great friend today.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Good for you. That's, by the way, a thing you just don't see a lot of is the loyalty to companies. You just don't see a lot of that anymore. Yeah. So it's kind of cool to see that still exists.
Loyalty is 5 years now, not 20. Just, you know, further.
Well, wasn't this quiet quitting in COVID, right? You could have two jobs. Right? You were working two jobs during that period. So that's big time loyalty.
Quiet quitting led to loud firing. I don't know if you read that article, but that's sort of how that went. All right, let's go rapid fire. I like to add to my book stack and or podcast listens. So favorite book or podcast, or the one you've gifted the most or recommend the most. Help me fill my ear.
I'm going to go with a new one that I just listened to. It's the Sam Altman book, The Optimist.
Ooh.
Great book talking about his history, how he came up through the ranks and started OpenAI. It's a fantastic read or listen.
All right. Anything in there about him and Elon in a cage match, or no?
No, but they definitely discussed that. You know, some big things around there is that OpenAI relied heavily upon open source to get to them to that point. So the fact that they were going to be a not-for-profit open source and then move to a for-profit was a big part of the book. And
don't even get me started. Like, I'm going to read it now, but like, can we do that? Is that like a thing now? Like, can I just start a not-for-profit? Don't have to pay taxes while I'm launching the company, and then all of a sudden go, hey, now that I'm profitable, you know what? Let's make this bad boy for profit. Apparently that's cool now. Like, we can do that.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah.
I'm not an accountant.
How do we start the next real estate brokerage that way? Because I mean, this thing's all is a not-for-profit anyway, right? I mean,
really
makes any money.
But not intentionally. Right. All right. Well, we'll work on that for the next pod. James, can you email Sam Altman? See if he wants to come on and talk about that part.
Working on that. I'll just get right on that. So cool, I watched an interview with him the other day and kind of freaked out about the financial services industry and security. Was like, oh, that's great. Basically said, never mind. I'm not even going to go down that road. So, you could have lunch with one person, current historical. Who would it be and why? Moving on, Keith.
You got one exit away from going there and then said, I'm not going to go there.
Like, no, I'm just not going to go down that road.
All right, cool. Lunch with one person. Hit us, Dan.
You know, I thought about this, and it's easy to pick, like, you know, someone who's not alive anymore and you get to bring them back.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to pick someone who's alive because I feel like I've been listening to him a ton, and I have a ton, I think, in common with him. And I would love to have lunch with Scott Galloway, just sit down with him. And I'll tell you why. A couple reasons. I'm raising a son right now, and he's really into that. Like, you know, helping build better males or really focused on raising males. Two, I have a degree in finance and a degree in computer science. So both of those things kind of mix well. And I've been digging a lot of his content lately. So I feel like I would have a really good like mentorship lunch, like ask him a lot of questions about my trajectory and stuff. And hopefully get a lot from it.
That was a serious humble brag. He just dropped like his 2 degrees. That was pretty solid.
He doesn't have it behind his cabinet yet. So.
No, he just does it like a passive flex. He's got literally a rocket back there. Scott Galloway is a great follow, by the way.
But if you dig into that, it's like I started going into finance and fell in love with computers and decided not to give up on halfway through, right?
Look at that.
You learn a lot at university.
Yeah.
I'm not a quitter. Yeah.
You're not a quitter. Scott Galloway is a great follow, by the way. He's a really thoughtful dude. I don't always agree with him, but I like that he's always thought about it. Yeah. And that's enough for me. I don't need everyone to agree with me. I actually like it when smart people don't agree with me. So, and then a lot of what he says, especially on the raising young men stuff, I think is phenomenal. So yeah, good call out.
I like this also current. We do a lot of people have a lot of historical answers. So,
yeah,
good
mine's
all right.
Mine's James because he usually picks up the check. So that's why
James is a good dinner date.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
Fantastic dinner.
Yeah,
date.
He picks a good restaurant and he usually pays. James, what are you doing tomorrow? Never mind. That's not what we're here.
I'm here on the pod, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
I want to make
ask
sure
him
you
a
both
question.
knew that I actually am here.
Ask him a question. Ask him a question.
All right. So let's dive in, my friend. Talk to us about Broker Public Portal. And I think there's a lot of people that understood what it was when it started. So give us the history, kind of where it was, where it went, where it is today. I'll let you do all of that, and then we'll have a lot of follow-ups because I know that I've got a lot of questions. So
I'm not a perfect historian either, and I don't think there's great record keeping on how this thing got completely started or who did what.
Don't worry about it, Dan. History goes to the conqueror, so you go ahead. You make it up.
Yeah, I make up the history of this, but I may not mention specific names, and I don't want people to be upset about me that I didn't say this person started or this person started about. But I like to look at the environment, right? You're talking 2014, 2015. I was in the market at that time, working on Remax.com, working with that brand. And it was a pivotal year. Zillow had surpassed Realtor.com in that year. And I think that kind of what it was born out of, right? Brokers were upset. The industry's website, Realtor.com, was being surpassed by Zillow. And they got together and said we should form a company that, focuses on us owning a portal, kind of owning the consumer, trying to own consumer eyeballs. And they all created a governance around this, which is, I think, our superpower, right? Our governance, the Broker Public Portal, when I hear that name and how we're going to reimagine it, is more around its governance. It is only can be owned by MLS and brokers. And we have about 50 of each. So we have about 50 large MLSs. And we have about 50 large brokers who all own a single unit. And why a single unit? Well, nobody can gain power over someone else. Compass has been eating some of our members. I say eating, I don't really mean it that way. Have been purchasing or merging with some of our members. And, we return a share back to them. They can only have one share. They only get one vote as a company. And so that governance doesn't allow us to really be purchased. If the company wanted to switch, it would have to be something big, right? That everyone can agree upon. And we know in our industry, everyone always agrees to go the same direction. So it would be easy to sway us in any way.
Yeah. Oh, hey, producer, can you cut to the herding cats commercial from like 15 years ago right here? That'd be great. All right.
The governance also doesn't allow us to raise capital, so I can't go out and get outside funding, so I can't be leveraged that way, right? But it also doesn't allow us to distribute profits. So really the governance is there to protect whatever we create. But also that means it has to be protected, and it has to be sponsored by the people that create it, and also the shareholders, the unit holders. And so it's an interesting governance structure, but also I think it's what's going to give us most of our power here in the future.
It's very, very fascinating. So there's only 50, you said, of each for MLS and broker. That's it?
Yep.
Correct. And are you adding more brokers to it, or that's
No, we recently added, anybody can join, which is great. So if you're a broker or an MLS, you can join. It costs $5,000 to purchase a unit. And that has not changed since 2015 when they first did it. And so anybody can become a unit holder that falls into one of those categories and gets approved by the board to be a unit. And Dorify MLS was recently was under my leadership, joined us. So it was my first one. It was tough to figure out all the details to make them a unit holder, but we got it worked out. And I think historically, BPP's had some success. If you've heard of the HomeSnap name, HomeSnap was the product we first partnered with and first brought to market. Over 1 million agents utilizing the product under the BPP HomeSnap version, and really great success. And then CoStar picking up HomeSnap is kind of what led to the end of that product. But man, I still hear it today. I wish we had HomeSnap back.
Right.
And so a lot of companies come in and filled small pieces of what HomeSnap did, but really that overall package was the big success that I think that they had before with HomeSnap.
Where are you live today with the product? Like, where's the market share that you're in as you've been built? Well, actually, I should ask this. What makes this, let's start with this. What makes this go around different? Because you partner with HomeSnap. Now you're building your own portal, correct? You have your own engineering team and you're developing everything from scratch. Okay. So why the different approach? I guess let me start there. Why the different approach instead of partnering to actually build it all yourself?
When I came on, they had done an RFP to replace HomeSnap. And I had to go through the results of those RFPs, but really, is the board going to accept another partnership or vendor that can get purchased? All the great ones out there are looking to be purchased. Let's be honest.
Right.
You know, Zenlist is a fantastic product, and they were the ones that were top on my list for sure, looking at them. And, you know, just recently picked up by Realtor.com. So what would have happened to the BPP if we'd rested and put all our eggs in that basket, right?
Is that tough? You can't raise capital and you got to build your own stuff. Like, how do those two pieces fit together? Yeah,
that's great. Keith coming in with the math. Thanks,
sorry.
Well, let's talk about that, right?
Yeah.
So when the HomeSnap split happened, there was a capital event where CoStar paid the BPP a capital to walk away. And so we're operating with that capital today. Like I wouldn't be here today if that didn't exist, right? And that didn't happen. So we have this chunk of money. We have the opportunity to build something, right? Let's get a return on that investment. The $5,000 per unit holder isn't going to produce much.
Yeah, I did the math early on. I was like, huh?
That's not going to produce a lot. So there was a substantial amount of money that we received. Still very small in the portal space, I would say. It's not like huge.
Sure.
And also timing. It's cheaper to do things than it's ever been. It's cheaper on infrastructure. It's cheaper to the human capital is more expensive, but you know, human capital plus plus AI is going to give you, you know, these superhumans that we're experiencing in development. So I think it's our timing that we have today. So around the year that we got started, things are much cheaper to do. And so we say the moats on the top portals today have shrunk. It used to be about people. It used to be about infrastructure. AWS makes things cheaper and available for everyone, right? The technology has advanced. The thing that's not cheaper is the marketing aspect still, right? We like to say we don't have Lil Wayne money, which is a little homage to the Homes.com folks, right? We don't have that Lil Wayne money, so we got to come up with some other methods, right?
Well, that leads me to the question I was going to ask is, so, you know, part of the, I mean, you think about Homes.com, they've spent just, you know, billions at this point trying to build this site that's got at most a third of the traffic that Zillow has today. So I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm really trying to understand how, first of all, we can help. But number two is, how do you gain traffic? Because the website's only as valuable as the traffic that's going to it. So what's the plan for that when you've seen that much money poured into marketing and advertising with, you know, debatable on whether it's successful or not, but Zillow is still the king by a long shot. So what's the approach there?
Props to my friends at Zillow, right? They invented some great search. And we, even Redfin or Homes.com are doing some great things. You know, I love to study what they're doing. I love to see the A/B testing they're doing. And it's fun to watch the different things that are tried out there. And working on Remax.com, I learned a ton about search and, you know, nationwide search like that. But I think you asked a great question, James, is how do we get the eyeballs to it? First of all, you're
going to spend $1 billion like Andy did? No?
And I'm happy to go to the Super Bowl with you, Dan. If you want to invite me.
Whoa. I thought
that's how we're going to do it. We're going to invite the top brokers to the Super Bowl. That's how we're going to get people to the portal. You know, I look at Homes.com spend and even Rocket's spend, right? First we had Rocket Homes and then they spent, I think, over 90 million to just get that down to Rocket.com. And then they spent a ton to get Redfin as well. And that's a completely different game, like just under the understanding that we're not going to be in that game. So what do we have? Well, we have the majority of the transactions. We have the agents and we have the brokers, right? And we have those consumer relationships, which every other portal wishes they had. And I think Zillow having the majority of the eyeballs is a great bargaining chip that they have out there. They could make decisions that are just good for them, but not good for consumers, but they're heavily focused on the consumer aspect. I think the first thing we need to look at is us as an industry, we need a better search, okay? We need portal level search at the brokerage level, at the MLS level, at the nationwide level. And so that's stage one for us was writing a really great search. And we've done that. Stage two will be, I think, enabling MLSs to have a front door. I think that's a great place. I think if you've ever transacted real estate in the US, you understand the word MLS, and people argue with me on this. So feel free to argue with me on this. You understand because your agent likely signed you up for a safe search, right? And you understand what the MLS is. It's also seen as the source of the information. And so I think putting public interfaces on these sites, consumers feel like they're getting an edge and tapping directly into the same data that the agents have access to. And so we want to leverage that. And then but when you go there, you should be able to not have borders. So we think nationwide access at those local levels of search, and then a nationwide portal as well. And then hopefully start tapping into safe searches. So this client collab piece, right? If 6% of transactions are done on Zillow.com every year, only 6% of them, we either see that continue to grow, which I think Zillow would love to see that grow, or we bring some competition in the space to hopefully say, don't go to Zillow, or not buying my client back from Zillow or Realtor or Redfin, is what our hope is, by giving them a search that's as good as those top portals.
Just a comment to add, which I think most of the viewers probably don't know this, but it is possible. I mean, in Houston, Bob Hale and his group, Houston Association of Realtors, HAR.com gets more traffic than Zillow for consumers. People still don't believe me on that, but I'm like, go look it up. So, I mean, they're a massive player. I think they are still, Dan. Correct me if I'm wrong. Last I checked, they were a massive player in the Houston market. So it is interesting to do that. I want to ask some detailed questions here. Keith, interrupt me, by the way, along the way here. So
I want to ask one question.
Okay.
If you can hold, don't lose your spot though, right?
I got you. Go.
All right, cool. So there's a tie in here. I was reading an article about AI development in China compared to AI development in the US. And one of the interesting things was, and it sort of reminds me, there was a through line here when you were talking, is because they don't have quite the same access that we do. They're working on it. They're getting caught up for sure. But it's forced them to be real scrappy and creative and think about things in different ways. And so they're sort of using the lack of resources as a superpower, because they have to think more creatively about how to do things. And so as I was listening to you talk, David-esque, loading the rock into your sling to go after the big portal boys. Do you feel that way, or is that just something to make you sleep better at night and you would love a giant war chest and just throw money at the problem?
Dude, 1000% we think this way. You seriously tapped into something no one has ever asked me, like on a daily. We know search, right? Everyone who's on my team has built search portals before or has been in prop tech before. We think about a portal without profits, which I will maybe repeat a couple times in this, because profits in the US with portals is not, the US portals aren't very profitable because of our MLS system, because of IDX exists. And what if you had a portal that wasn't focused on profits and didn't have to force a mortgage agenda or didn't have to force a lead agenda? What could that portal look like? Could it be fun to go to? Could it not have ads on it? Could it be a spot that the industry, is this our angle? Right. So the David Sling thing, but I want to recommend another book to you, Keith.
Oh, should I get two today? Yeah. My favorite podcast.
Read the book? Let's go to the finance side of my,
okay.
Here.
All right.
Have you read the book Flash Boys?
Yes, great book. Phenomenal book. Anything by Michael Lewis should be read. He's a great storyteller, but that book is phenomenal.
That book is fantastic. So they talk about Russian developers and why Russian developers are better, because Russian developers had to memorize more code because they didn't have access to computers. They have to write it down, and then they have to go to the computer lab, and they'd have to rent space, and they'd only get a very short, narrow window to run that code, right? And it had to be good. And so we do see ourselves as these, don't worry about us. We're nobodies, right? we're small. We don't have a lot of money. But you better believe we're going to create a great product, a great search, because we're passionate about it. And we don't have to worry about profits.
Yeah.
No one's asking me to 10X,
Right.
this money that we got, right? No one's asking me to 100X it in 5 years. And so we don't feel that pressure either. It feels very DARPA-ish. Like, you had a rich uncle who doesn't care if the money goes away, I guess. But it does feel very much like that.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's such a valuable lesson, regardless of where you are in the strata of real estate, right? Whether you're a brand new licensee who thinks, how am I going to beat that person who's been here for 20 years, or you're launching a brand new company. I mean, I was an early leadership hire for Keller Williams in Northern California, and it was Keller Who back then, which is hilarious now. So I mean, that whole piece, like, I think it's a huge component that gets overlooked a lot. That sometimes your weaknesses can be shaped into a strength because they have to be, right? All right, James, I took us down a different
you didn't.
bunny
it
trail.
Actually is fitting for where I was headed anyway.
Perfect,
so
perfect.
I love it, Dan, and I'm a big fan. Then my question is, I'm envisioning this product, and I want to talk about AI a little bit because you mentioned it and just sort of what you envision search to be. We'll come back to that in just a second. But so what is the business model then? So how do you get past, I'm going to two-part question. What's the business model? And then how do you get past the politics? An idea of all these MLSs sharing data in National Search Portal, like, oh my God, I can
Please
imagine
tell me
losing
that
my mind.
in your unit, there's like a cage match clause, and we do trial by combat when we don't agree. No?
Yeah. He brings this up a lot.
I'm actually taking notes. Like,
yeah,
yeah. This is a fair clause.
Okay, maybe we can do the cage match thing.
Yeah, it's in our podcast LLC agreement. That's for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
But the politics, and then the politics of brokers. Like, I want to dive in that a little bit. Like, how is this not competing with the brokerage website? How are the MLS is going to get on the same page? Because we all know this has been the thing forever, as everybody marks out their territory, and it's scarcity mindset versus abundancy mindset. So I feel like I've said that a lot today.
You have.
Give us your thoughts on all that.
Yeah, I think the timing is right for this, but I also think that it's going to take support of the industry to do this. I kind of think broker public portal is kind of an oxymoron, right? Because if the portal got big enough, brokers think you should pay them for it, right? You're using my content to now make a portal. And so getting brokers to look at this, or getting MLSs to look at this and say, the only way this works is if you guys sponsor this, right? If we pay per member per month, a small fee. Now, I don't have to make profits, which is great. So that fee can come down as more people come into it. And so if we look at this as kind of a all hands on deck, everyone kind of pitches in a small amount. And I encourage you to look at realtor.ca, right? Realtor.ca in Canada by CREA, Canadian Real Estate Association, still owned. They own their domain and they own the site itself. And they're still the number one portal in that country. And I hope they maintain that. We look at that as kind of a great roadmap of an industry can support a portal and can pay for a portal, and it can be the number one portal. But I'm not naive that getting to that number one spot it would take a lot of things would have to line up for us, right? And a lot of things we would have to spend money on marketing. We would have to get to those points. And what we're hoping for is we are hoping that the industry can come together and back this portal and sponsor this portal. How do I solve the politics? Look, man, if you got ideas, I'm all ears.
I'm going to reinforce Keith's comment earlier, a trial by combat. That usually works really well.
But I mean, like, look, come on. It can't be. I mean, I know this is a political industry, but like, one way to get agents and brokers to agree is to say, we're not Zillow. And some percentage will line up behind that, right? Like, that hue and cry for we should have never given this away, and how could we, and they sell us back. I mean, that probably gets you 30 to 40% of the industry right there, right? Yeah. And then, you got to work for the rest. But there is a deep I don't know about distrust. Maybe it seems like it's mellowed a bit, but there definitely is a sense of frustration in that we gave that away as an industry.
Yeah, because they're paying 40% referral fees. Like, that just in itself.
42% in Atlanta.
42.
42%.
That's what I heard from a broker.
That's the first I've heard about a higher number. So you heard it first, viewers and listeners.
That doesn't make it true just because we heard it. Please verify.
Yeah, you want to verify that. But just to be clear, it's not on one deal. It's on the next two deals, because most buyers that you meet also have what to sell? A listing. And so some people forget the fact, if you're a large broker and you're like, oh, I have all the listings in this marketplace, I'm fine. Well, not if they're meeting the buyer first. And also approximately 35 to 40% of those buyers are going to bring Zillow their listing, which you also owe a referral on, is starting to add up. So I think it's not just about the buyers here. It's also about the listings, the way we look at it.
So
How
is
does
it... Go ahead, Jay.
So just no referral fees? I just want to get that out of the way. Like, is that the...
Yeah, so I want to talk about something I didn't create. It's called fairdisplay.org. If you go there, it's actually created by the Realty Alliance. It is our governance and our rules that we have to follow. We can't... well, let's go back in history here and talk about showcase properties. You're talking about them now. It's like, oh, showcase. It's like... That reminds me of Realtor.com in 2005, where you could only have one photo, but if you showcased, you got all your photos on there, right? Mm-hmm. So it was anti-consumer. It hurt the consumer, but it got the agent to pay to do the listing. So we can't do things like showcase, right?
Which Zillow owns that now, by the way.
Yep. We can't do leads. We can't sell leads. So we call it your listing, your control. As a broker, you can control where those leads go to within your office, or control, if they go to the agent or if they go to you. So we call that your listing, your control. We can't do, we can't sell leads or do referrals. We're not a brokerage. We're not under IDX even. We're given the data from the MLS because the MLS is sponsoring it. So we fall under a different set of rules there, which is great. But the fair display is what really guides us. I can't sell ads that may compete with a broker. So I can't go out there and get ads for a mortgage. We can't affect the ranking, right? Which we don't want to do as consumers. Like, if you're affecting the ranking on consumers, that is something that we're going to leverage, right? If you're using that to bring properties to the top, we're going to use that to advertise against you, or leverage to say, are you tired that your ranking doesn't stay from low to high? It's because they have to sell those spots, right? So they have to mess with the consumer's ranking to get those properties up there.
So is it, I'm going to tell you what I heard you say, and then you tell me what I got screwed up. But it sounds like if I'm trying to think through, like, how is BPP going to go after the big quote, air quote, big portals, right? And it sounds like you're leaning into the real estate agent relationship as the origin point for search. And while they may have started somewhere else, when it starts as an idea, honey, we should think about moving, right? And they probably go to Zillow first, or wherever first.
Yep.
But you're leaning on that relationship with the agent to be the driver for your eyeballs. And so you're more looking at a little further down the funnel. You don't have to pick me at the top, but if I can develop the relationships with the trusted resource for you, then more than likely, or this is probably your thesis, that'll drive search as you move mid and late funnel into the process. Is that a good synopsis, or am I way off?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think that there's still low intent. I didn't talk to an agent catching that can be done. Like, we're not going to avoid that. Like, SEO's kind of dying now, and we're going more to answers. So there's some opportunity there, we think. But also, Keith, I call you up and I've did a deal with you before, and I say, look, I'm thinking about buying a house. Where can I go to search for homes? What do you tell people? That's actually going to be a good experience that they're going to stick and use. Yep. Do you tell them to go to Zillow and don't call anybody on there and just call me? Do you tell them to use Redfin, but don't contact any agents on there? Contact me. I assure you, those are the conversations that are happening with agents because the tooling's not as good, right?
Right.
But what if the tooling was good, right?
Right.
And so we would love to be that point. We don't see it as, we think there's plenty of room. We also don't see it as us versus them, except internally we do a little bit. Like, we love the competition aspect.
You got to throw a rock every once in a while. I
want to be clear that with brokers, I think James said it right. Like, there's always been this argument that the MLS is competing with them, and we got to get past that. Utah Real Estate and Har.com, they're not seen as competing entities. Those domains are considered assets, right? As long as we're delivering the leads back to the brokers, they're nets in the water, man. You got to have these nets in the water if you're competing against these commercial fishing operations, right? And it's like,
it's a good analogy.
They're McDonald's selling filet of fish, right? They're dragging huge nets in Alaska. They're fishing with poles still here. So we the multiple tiers, we got to keep that going. And I always like to say with brokers, when I worked for Remax, and the biggest reason people come to remax.com, I still believe today, and I don't know if this is still true because I still don't have the stats on this, was to find a Remax listing, right? That getting past your own brokerage brand is half the battle with the consumer.
Yeah.
If I told you could go to Ford.com and search all cars for sale, you would think I was crazy, right? Why would Ford display a Chevy?
Yeah.
It's a really good comment.
That's the challenge that brokers are having just with their own brand and the sign in the yard. I saw a sign in the yard. I want to go look that listing up. I'm going to go to compass.com because I saw the Compass sign, or I'm going to saw the Remax sign, or I saw the Keller Williams sign, right?
Yeah.
And you should be there for that. You should service that request. And if if you convince them, hey, you have all listings here, great, they can continue to search. And that's, being in a top 10 portal like Remax, that's probably a big way we got a lot of our traffic was through that method and SEO. But to say that you can't create an auto trader or cars.com is ridiculous.
Right.
And that's the local source for that information. There's an advantage there that we should be leveraging, and we're not.
Talk to us about AI. You mentioned it early on, and I just want to make sure we get some of these questions because we could talk about this for days at this point.
Sorry.
But give me you're fine.
Doing
But
great.
give us some background. I know you're very passionate. I've seen you do it. So talk to us about AI and search, because I know this is where. And by the way, Keith, you can enjoy this now because
I am ready.
I'll just leave the podcast. You two can talk now. The rest. Of the
thanks
time.
for teeing this up, James. See you later.
See you, buddy.
Yeah. I accept our AI overlords.
Yes.
And,
Always be
I think
polite
you guys
to
have joked about this a little bit on your podcast, but first of all, how we see it internally, we are a company built by AI, which is great. So it's me and 3 people right now. Just to give you an idea, that's created this search.
I love
it. If you go to brokerdata.com and use our search in the Chicago, Indianapolis, or Charlotte marketplace at brokerdata.com, you can see what me and 3 people have created. And I'll just say it's those 3 people, let's be honest. Yeah. So brokerdata.com is our soft launch site. We own that domain. It talks exactly about what's up there, but it won't be our final consumer domain. That's just kind of our testing and soft launch domain. You can actually search every property in America. You need to be able to, it's traditionally only been on the giant portals that you could search off-market addresses or public record data. All that's available there on that search. So now it helps that these 3 guys, not including me, have done this before, right? So when you add those guys plus AI, I mean, it just amplifies their talents. And when you embrace it, and if you're a company that doesn't embrace it, which we know a lot of portals probably have tech debt and have companies that, have hired all these people to manage different parts of their system. We were able to build this in 2024 and 2025. So it is lean, mean, it's cheap, and we're able to
inexpensive,
create
Dan. It's inexpensive.
Sorry, it's inexpensive. Thank you, Keith. I'm hiring you for the marketing aspect.
I'm here for you. So wait, you and 3 guys with some domain expertise and some AI tools built that whole thing, because I just looked at it while you were chatting. That's wild.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah. And by the way, they didn't start till half of last year.
So they built it in
a year. Around a year.
Yeah.
So I was on for 6 months before I hired these 3 people, and that's what we built in a very short period of time. So
if there's a company listening right now who I know I need to get on the AI train, but golly, I don't know if you heard, Dan, real estate's been a little tough the last few years. Like the coffers aren't as thick as they used to be. Like, what would you tell someone who sort of, it's like, I know I need to eat my vegetables, but I really don't want to. I know I need to do AI, but we can make that a 2026 thing. What would you tell that leader?
What would I could swear on this podcast, but I would tell
let
them,
it rip. Yeah.
Like the shit you're paying for today that doesn't mean anything versus what this costs. The fact that these tools are available to us at the cost they're available to us.
It's wild.
Get the fuck out.
The
fact that they're available to everyone.
Yeah.
You can bleep that if you want. My
hell no.
He's going to watch this and hear his dad say the F word, but
it's good. He'll love you a little more.
That's what's amazing.
Yeah.
I can access the same thing Redfin can access.
Right. And maybe
other people can access. There's no walls, right? There's no limitation to who can get access to this.
And in some ways you have a competitive advantage because you're smaller, more nimble. There's no sacred cows, right? Like you can sort of just be like, hey, let's just pretend this is a fresh launch and let's go clean into this and let's see what happens. Like it's a unique opportunity.
but it's like asking an expert too on everything, right?
Mhm.
And they've gone deep on technology. So like they've gone deep on the coding aspect,
Yeah,
and we
it's-
use a product called Cursor, which is probably dominating the space around coding. But I want to be clear, the whole concept of vibe coding or people who aren't talented, I think this has injected more value into the US developer.
Yeah.
It's made them more valuable. They can now operate at speeds of overseas developers with higher quality. So I don't want to discredit the people behind this. They're very talented people who I've given them. They've gone and gotten these tools. I didn't even give them to them
Right,
at a very cheap rate. These tools are affordable for everyone.
Yeah.
I want to talk real quick about AI and search because I think there's a gap here, and I think it's fun to go say that AI is going to change search. And I do think that's partially true, but I don't think search has changed in the past 50 years. We think of it like flight search, and if you go look at any of these search portals today, your options haven't changed. Beds, baths, square footage, right? It's sexy to think about lifestyle search. We've been pitched 100 lifestyle searches around like, I like to play, golf, and my wife likes to play gin, and we want to be near, a senior community or whatever, right? Like, show me in America where I can live. Like, that's just not how it's happening, right? People are jumping 1 to 2 zip codes. They know how many kids they're bringing with them. They like, imagine if you went to delta.com. It's like, how you feeling today? And we'll tell you where you want to go. It's like, no, I need to be in San Diego this week and I need to be there at this time, right? Like, so we call this haystack needle, right? Like, you need to sift through this haystack to get to find the needle, right? And there are some levers you're willing to negotiate, but there are other levers you're not. And so that's what we think about bed bath. And so how does that go to a chat interface? And we're watching this space very carefully. We're trying to see what Airbnb is doing, right? And how things that are very visual, and because they're visual, it's going to always involve some type of interface and be able to sift through that interface quickly. And so how do we do it? And if you check out Smart Filter on our site, which is our iteration of it. So it's like, we're trying to get rid of these giant filters. And by getting rid of these giant filters and just saying, hey, what are you looking for? That's objective, still the same, right? Square footage, year built, HOA fees, senior community, garage space. Can we still facilitate that without having you sift through a bunch of stuff or use your voice to do it? And so we don't think it's going to change that much, actually. We think it's going to, until someone else invents something different. But we're using AI to help consumers search quicker, but it's not a chat interface. We don't believe that's the interface of the future.
Is it experiential, like based off what they do? Are you trying to solve for buyers or liars, right? They aren't liars. We just aren't great question askers. So if they say one thing but search a different way, does that like go a little deeper? Like, how is it really impacting search?
Yeah, AI is making recommendations way easier to build. The problem is we're not in the searches, Keith. We don't even know about the searches. So if Google's the intention engine, right? Like, we can tell when mortgage interest rates are going to, it's going to go up or down, or applications based upon how many people Google it. The ability to watch searches is very, very, very valuable, right? Because I go to the grocery store and buy strawberries and bananas, and you go to the grocery store and buy strawberries, bananas, and blueberries.
Yeah.
The best recommendation engine is watching those searches so you can send me a coupon for blueberries. Because we have likeness, right? We have this likeness. And so if you don't understand the searches and you're not running the search platform, it makes it very hard to socialize the search. So the reason you get a recommendation from Realtor, Redfin, or Zillow, that's a property you've never looked at, is it's because other people like you have looked at it.
Right. It's not about my search. It's about other people who search like me.
100%.
And stumble into things and then sort of agitating those to the surface so I can thumbs up or thumbs down them.
That trains an AI model to make a recommendation or machine learning, or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
I want to ask a question regarding this. I think it's relevant. There's this debate occurring amongst a loud few.
Usually.
And I call it hiding information, because I'm just going to call it what it is. It's days on market, how long the property's been on the market. Like, we're starting to have these discussions and their arguments are it's hurting the seller. I've always looked at this as a very strange conversation, because we've been working towards a world of transparency where we're trying to provide value to buyers. I'm not just talking home buyers, by the way, in general. And we're trying to limit and remove looky-loos from the seller. And I also have never met a lawyer that said she should hide information because that limits liability. So what is your position on this with AI and just needing information, as much information as possible in order to provide an experience like this? I mean, I think all of these things are relevant unless I'm missing something. What's your take? I don't know, I'm putting you on the spot here, Dan. Sorry.
No, I'm trying to make sure I want to understand the question. Are you saying,
like, we're talking about removing days
the...
on market is harmful to sellers, and how long the property's been on the not just price changes are harmful to the seller. Like, we're talking about removing information that's been available for consumers.
Yeah, but then Dan's just going to build an AI tool that'll go scrape all that anyway, and then you're going to get it. Like, this whole concept. Sorry, I shouldn't be answering Dan's questions.
No, go ahead.
But like, to me, it's like we're arguing about cave paintings and Dan's trying to build a rocket ship, right? like so much of this is going to be beyond what MLSs will or won't provide. You're going to be able to put an address into an AI tool. You could probably put it in when did this go on the market? And it's just going to tell you. It's going to say the first time it popped up was this date, right? Like, I feel like in the industry sometimes we get in these huge thought debates over stuff that, like,
it's stupid.
We're trying to drive the car, look through the rear view mirror instead of the windshield. Like, I'm much more interested in dialogue around what Dan's talking about. Like, how could search be different? That's such a more interesting conversation to me than, like, how are we going to measure days on market?
Fine. Let me ask you this then. Let follow up on that.
I'll actually let Dan answer this one. Sorry.
Well, and I'm going to add a piece to it.
Okay.
You have brokers that may have differing opinions on it. So how do you work around that?
Great. But I want to be clear. My opinion may not align with my brokers.
Oh, here we go.
Brokers can't agree.
The views being expressed are not the views of Dan or any of his affiliates. Go ahead.
This is my opinion. I first want to give credit to Keith because Keith hit on something that I think I love to mention, and I want to put him in a Hawaiian shirt. And the reason I want to put you in a Hawaiian shirt is because it reminds me of Jurassic Park, where they made all the dinosaurs female, and they were like, there's no way these dinosaurs are going to have babies, right? Yeah. And nature finds a way.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Consumers are going to find a way.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're not transparent, and you're going to lose trust, right, around transparency. They're used to seeing days on market. They're used to seeing price history. And consumers will find a way, nature will find a way to get them the answers they need on that. And if they find out something was withheld from them that may have affected their decision, I don't want to be on the other end of that argument, right?
Well, and just
my brokers are
go ahead. No,
my
go ahead,
brokers
Dan.
are not going to agree upon certain ways that certain things are done. And we honor, however, the MLS's rules that they want to follow. If they say you can't show days on market, we're going to follow those because we have to. That's the source of the information. We respect that marketplace enough, and that marketplace is important to us. I wish I was a for-profit company and I, was the CEO and I could make a stand and I could be on the stage with you, James, having these arguments, but I'm just not in that position to make those arguments. But from a data standpoint, a data guy, I obviously want a very fair marketplace. I think every home should get an opportunity to be priced appropriately so we understand the market, because that's used to comp future homes. MRED has the PLN, which is awesome, and they get great feedback on it from the brokers and the agents. But there's always that little asterisk. So if it's sold in the PLN, when you're using it for appraisal purposes, it never truly, you need to know that it never truly saw the market.
Yep. Well, and look, Dan, I think your answer is a very thoughtful and correct one, but it also is full of jargon. Like, the human being who buys a house, when they want to know how long it's been on the market, very soon, if not already, is going to go to ChatGPT and write a very complicated question like, how long has 123 Main Street, Oakland, California, been on the market? And then you know what ChatGPT is going to do? It's just going to effing tell them. It's going to say, this as of today, you know why? Because I just did it for a property. As of today, July 28th, 2025, has been on the market for approximately 4 days. I put in an address of a property that I knew was recently listed. I put it in the chat, and it just tells me.
Like, and by the way, it's going to pick that up on the agents or brokers' individual marketing.
Correct.
Regardless
so,
of the MLS.
We want to have this big debate and big fight and argue over what is on the market and what isn't on the market. Oh God, those conversations make me want to throw my laptop out the airplane. Who are we really focused on? How about we think about the human being who wants to buy a house and give them the information that they want? And I understand, seller, if it's been on the market 99 days, that doesn't make you look good. Maybe you should have listed it at the right price and it wouldn't be hanging around forever.
God,
what are we doing?
Yeah.
Give this guy his own show.
He needs it,
there you
man.
go,
You know,
Keith.
he always is like when I go on my soapbox, but I love it when Keith goes on.
Well,
his.
it's like if
Yeah.
we lose sight of the human beings who buy and sell houses as an industry, and we don't service them at the highest levels, someone else will, and we will get replaced. I like this industry. I'm a huge fan. In fact, it's created a lifestyle to which I am accustomed and I would like to keep. And the only way I can do that is if we continue to focus on the humans in the transaction.
That's why the top portal's in the top spot.
Yeah. Right.
Yep, for sure.
Great point.
Yeah.
Betty Buyer, Susie the seller. I think they have Betty the buyer, right? Those are profiles that sit on the wall there. They're highly focused on those individuals, and they continue to remain that way.
Yeah. He's referring to Zillow, just to be clear, and they have personas internally about what's best for the buyer and seller, which I think is brilliant. Everybody should
very
do
smart.
that.
It just anchors everyone in that giant company to, towards the same direction, hopefully, for them.
And Keith, maybe I need to change my argument. Maybe I don't say nature will find a way. AI will find a way, right?
Hey, yeah. Or smart guys like Dan using AI will find a way, because I think like we are in this seed change moment. I don't normally believe in revolutions. I'm more of an evolution guy. The pace of change tends to be slower than we want it to be. Not this time. 18 months from now, residential real estate is going to look very different, and there will be the people who adopted and the dead. And that's up to you, whether it's you as an agent, you as someone leading a company, whatever. Like, you either adopt or die. That's how, I think it's that significant. Like, it's that big a seed change. It's sort of like someone who's like, the internet's stupid. That thing's not going to be around. We don't need to worry about the internet. Okay. You better work on would you like fries with that as your new script or dialogue.
And maybe that won't even be a job with AI.
Right.
So,
that's definitely going to get to AI. Yeah.
Keith, I'm putting this in my calendar to check my pulse on, what'd you say, 18 months from now? I'm going to make sure I'm alive.
Yeah, let's do it.
Put that in my calendar.
Let's do it.
Dan, we'll do one last question here. Keith always asks it, but I think it's relevant to this. But
you want to ask it this time?
Yeah, I'm sure. Sure. Why not? You know what?
Sure.
Let's change it up, man. You got to do the soapbox. I'm usually the one that goes off on
I soapboxed you.
I love it.
Final question. Let's go.
If you're an agent, what's the one thing you'd implement today to help you do more business? Or broker, agent or broker?
I used to have this thing that I would always tell agents what my favorite app was when apps became a thing, right? Because I was in the BlackBerry days and then eventually app days. And I had this one day where I came out with my favorite app for agents, and it was like, in fact, none of you have to download it right now because it's the phone on your app. Like, it's the phone app.
It's already there. Yeah.
And like that blew up. Like, it was huge, right? After that, I was like, yeah, just call your past clients, right? Like, that's the most value return you can have in this space. And it's like, you don't even have to download it. It's free. It's there.
Right there.
Just block time and call old clients, right?
Yeah.
But I'm changing my answer because I think there is now enough. If you embrace AI, it can turn you into this super agent or superhuman. It's not replacing you by any means. It's not going to unlock a door for someone, right? And it's not going to have a heart-to-heart conversation on what offer you should select. Yeah, it's going to help you understand the details. But at the end of the day, you're giving advice and you're following up with clients. So if you look at the top complaints, which is going to be follow up with clients, and it's going to be getting back to people, and using AI to help you with those things, but not replace you, I think is what the agent of the future looks like. Yeah. And they probably want individual apps. What app can I go get this? Any of them. What CRM to use? The one you use. Like, I don't care which one, just use it and continue to use it to make you a better agent. And that's where I think you're going to see success as an agent in the future.
You know, Keith and I had this conversation, I don't even know, it was yesterday, I think. Pretty sure. We go out of all 150, I don't even know how many episodes we've done. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, a lot.
We asked the same question. And literally, probably almost 100% of the time, it always ends up in the same part, which is to contact your sphere, to stay in touch with your sphere, to pick up the phone and dial somebody. Like, it's amazing to me. It ends up in the same spot.
It's wild,
almost
right?
every single time. Yeah. And we're talking with people like you, super smart, super techie. They're like, call your customer. We have a pod we're doing. I'll leave you with this. It's coming up. And I'm bringing this guy on intentionally because I was fascinated by it. I was in the room, was doing a keynote. He came on after me. And he goes, this guy does 30 million in volume in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So just average price point, I think like 250, something like
It's
that.
a lot of cheese curds.
Okay. You guys can do the math. By the way, I had cheese curds the first time. That was interesting.
I'm stuck on cheese curds, and you misspelled delicious. Go ahead.
Whatever. So, ready?
Yeah.
30 million in volume. 98% of it, 98% of his business comes from his top 100 people in his contact list. And all he does is he works those 100 people all year. That's it, religiously. He has an entire plan to work the top 100 people to generate $30 million in volume in Wisconsin. I don't know how to define that any better than this guy that's coming on to talk about. He's like, he doesn't buy leads. He doesn't do shit except just literally works the top 100 people in his network. That's it. Yeah.
We want it to be more complicated so we can be smart, I think. But it's really not. It's really not that complicated. It's just damn hard, though. We got to admit, though, like human beings aren't natural pleasure delayers. There's so many like psychological, philosophical reasons why, as an industry, we struggle with that consistent, persistent follow-up for someone who's going to transact a decade from now, right? Like there is real reasons. But man, at the end of the day, to your point, James, it doesn't matter who we have on. It so often comes back to that. So Dan, you are 100% spot on.
Yeah. The thing I love and I pump the team up about all the time is we're in an amazing industry where people want to own a home and they can't own a home. Some people can't own a home, right? And we're in one of the most largest marketplaces in the country. So when we look at all the other people that are trying to recruit my folks or try to get them to go away, these in other industries, right? This is sexier than this.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything sexier than the American dream or success. And it still involves a person. And we see that continuing. So excited to be in this industry and excited to be bringing a new consumer search to this industry.
I love it.
Yeah.
Dan, keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah, man.
We're your biggest fans. Anything I can do to help support it would be great. I know that if the more the message gets out, which we will help you with the pod here, I think it'll be beneficial to you guys. And we'll put your information in the show notes so people can see the website, get in touch with you.
Yeah.
If they want to potentially invest, they can do that too. So appreciate you, buddy. Very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
Thanks for coming on, Dan.
We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Don't be left in the dark. Subscribe and leave us a comment. Unless it's bad. We hate being judged. Actually, go ahead. Leave a bad comment. Doesn't bother me.